Well, welcome back to Badger Outdoors. It's a Friday. It's been a reasonably stressful week at work with things that are going on. So just a lot to deal with. So I've been getting a little bit stressed, and I've been not watching the news. I don't watch the BBC and all that garbage. It's all fake news. I'm not one of those people, but it is absolute bollocks. You're just being fed an agenda if you watch that. I just need a bit of downtime. The world is going crazy, and it's not just Ukraine-Russia thing. That's I hate to say it, that's a bit of a sideshow. It's not for the people there, but it's in terms of the world, it's a bit of a sideshow compared to what's really going on. And what's really going on is a fight between the East and the West, and it's all about finances and money. It's all about the reserve currency and who's going to hold it. It's all about who holds the wealth, and the wealth really is held by the East. The West just holds paper, fiat, Ponzi scheme, fake money that's based on nothing but debt and the US military. That's all we've got. They've got all the gold, the oil, the gas, everything else. They're winning. All these politicians who really don't give a shit about us, they're all firing shots across the bow at each other, and we're in the crossfire. They're arseholes. Anyway, so this is my de-stress. Calm down. Tonight it will be quite breezy. It's going to go down to about plus 8 degrees centigrade, so no big deal. The wind will calm down, which is good. So yeah, I'm just going to chill out. I'm going to talk about saws and the different saws that I've used over the last 4 years, I suppose. I'll show you the different ones that I've got, what I think of them. I'll talk to you about the range, and what I'm going to talk about really is it's about silky saws. So yeah, stick with me for that. And there'll be a pork stir fry going on, and a few beers, and yeah, a chat about saws. I forgot what they're called. Buckles, onto my buckles. So I've just put, again, another fisherman's, a bit of cordage, a bit of paracord, fisherman's knot, and then lark's headed it onto there, because when I was up in Wales, and that night that I spent in this hammock, the water had run down and I didn't have a decent drip system. Basics, and yeah, one end of the hammock had clearly taken a little bit of water in. Not ideal. So I put this on, done a little test on it, and it works really nicely. So you've got to be careful once you've set it all up that this is pointing down, etc. But yeah, good drip system is quite crucial, and I forgot it when I bought this hammock and didn't sort it out. So we're done now. Okay, and well, mistake number 1 was not bringing a long enough ridge line. Mistake number 2 is not bringing a big enough tarp. So I've only ever used this tarp with, now thinking about it, 10-foot hammocks. Now I've got an 11-foot hammock. That isn't going to work. So this is really only an option with the Superfly or Mini Fly. Same the other end. I've kind of pitched it as close as I dare. So I hope there's no heavy rain. But if there's any rain, it's going to be very light. So that'll do. And yeah, I just hope we don't get too much heavy rain. I think what I should have done with that tarp there is to put it diagonally. I think that was a bit of a no-brainer, really. That was a little bit stupid, but there we go. What is done is done, and I'm not too fussed about the rain tonight because I don't think there's any. I think it's going to be actually a very nice night. So, but if I was doing that again, yeah, I would go diagonally. Right, let's have a chat about saws then. I mean, if you're wild camping, a saw for me is essential. It's not essential. You can go and you can snap wood, and there are some techniques with your legs and with trees and that you can use for snapping wood. But the trouble with snapping wood is it's really loud. You could take an axe, and I've got a really nice axe. When I first started wild camping, I was watching Joe out in the wilderness in Canada surviving with an axe and a piece of string, and I'm gonna get an axe. And then I realized, actually, I'm trying to be a little bit stealthy here, and an axe is just really noisy, so that was out of the question. I've got a very nice axe, and I only ever take it if I'm going right deep into a forest somewhere where I don't think anyone really cares. So if you're going to process wood for a fire, yeah, sure, you can snap at things, etc. But to do it properly, the best way by a mile is with a saw. And of course, if you're wild camping, you got to carry your gear in, carry your gear out. So you don't want it to be too heavy, you don't want it to be too big. Equally, particularly if you're on your own, you want it to be reasonably safe. Talk about how dangerous these things are in a minute, but having a first aid kit I think is really important. So I've got a good first aid kit in there that I can deal with a bad bleed. I cut my finger off, I can deal with that bleed, wrap it up. I've got a good phone signal, my car is only 5-6 minutes run away, I've got my keys in my pocket. You know, if I had to deal with it, I could. If I take an axe, I always take my much bigger emergency kit, particularly where I go, and I've got a fast find beacon. Not that that's going to help me because I'll have bled out by then, but if you're going to use this sort of gear, then you really do have to be seriously careful. It goes without saying, but they are very sharp. And what we'll do now is just talk through. So the first probably about 4 years ago, I started really getting into wild camping. Well, maybe about 3 years ago, but I sort of dabbled in it about 4 years ago. And the first one I got was this little saw here. There it is. I don't know who made it. I found it in a cheapy shop. It's got a cheapy little lock there that comes out. Lock goes down. It's not very big. It is seriously sharp though. It is very similar to a silky saw in that you can run your finger that way, but there's no way I'm running my finger the other way. And I don't know if that is an early silky saw or not. I've got no idea. It doesn't say silky, it's got nothing on the blade. It's a very, very similar blade though, so I don't know. But I bought this many years ago, so maybe it is from Silky. Many years ago. I don't use it now. I used it for a little bit when I first started wild camping. It was really good. It's still really sharp. I used it only for about 3 or 4 months though, so it didn't get a lot of use. And then now it just gets folded back up, and now it lives in my get your home bag in the back of the car. So if I ever need to get out of Dodge from the car, it breaks down, anything like that, then I always carry a bag in the back of the car with a lot of old wild camping gear in it, which I think I'll do a video on very soon. Old camping gear, and this lives in there so that I've got something if I need to get a fire going. Once I finished with that, I went and got a saw called the Laplander, and I forget the name of it. I'll put the name of it up. 396. It's about a 210mm saw. It was very good. It is very similar to, and I'll show you, it's very similar to the Gomboy in the size of it, which I'm going to come on to this in a second. Very similar to this, but it's this way. This is a pull saw, so you only pull with it. You don't put any force forwards. Whereas the Laplander was a bi-directional saw, so you can cut both ways. Never felt that it was as solid and as good quality as I think about this Gomboy, but it's a lot less money. So one of these is maybe 45 quid, that was maybe 25 quid, but that Laplander was a really nice saw. Very good if you're going to get into wild camping. That would probably be my first one if I was new into wild camping, would go for a Laplander. Lots of people I know use them. I don't think they're the best, but lots of people use them, and they are very good entry level and probably the best value for money if you're just going out to process a bit of wood like I've done there. Okay, and then after the Laplander, I ended up, well, I actually gave that one away, so I haven't got that one here, but I ended up going for a Silky, and this is the first one I got, was a Silky Gomboy. It is a 210, so I'll talk about all of these in a second, but I'll talk about Silky's generally first, and then I'll go through the different range. But you've got some sort of, I think it's gom rubber handle. It's grippy, it's great, no issues. You've got a little bit on the end there where you could put a lanyard or something. Now the snag with this is, and the lock is up here, so you press that and then you can lock it and it will come up. Locks there, press it again, it locks there, and I think it locks there so that you can grip it and saw something without rubbing your knuckles off. If you're sawing on something that's flat, I've got to be really careful around here. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't lock when it's in like this. So unlike the Laplander, which did lock, this one doesn't. So what you could do is put a lanyard or some elastic, something around there that's just going to go over here quite tight, and it's just going to hold that blade in, which I think I'm going to do with these. And it's only through a little bit of research for this video that I saw someone had done that, and I thought that's a really good idea, because these saws do really worry me, particularly when you put them into your rucksack, and the most dangerous thing is to put it in upside down like that into your rucksack, because you know what you have to do with your rucksack is get your hand in there, and that's the last thing you want to be coming across, because I can guarantee you if you feel something sharp, first thing you're going to do is pull your arm out, and you're going to cut yourself into big pieces. So whenever this goes into my rucksack, it always goes in that way, always. Right, what else have we got? They're metal, so this bit of metal here, it's full tang, so it goes all the way back around here, which is great. On the Gomboy, this is steel, whereas on the bigger one it's aluminium, but on the smaller ones it's steel, which I particularly like. Like I say, the lock is this metal lock here, which is all metal, so that's great, and there are two little notches in there, which is where it locks into, and I've never had that come undone. It tightens. You can replace the blade, you can just undo it here, so it's a standard screwdriver. A big screwdriver will undo that, and you can replace the blades. The blades are probably 2/3 the cost of the whole thing. Now Laplander, the blades are almost exactly the same cost as the whole saw, but and they're hard to get, whereas these are much easier to get, and they're a little bit better compared to the price of the whole thing. So yeah, but these blades last forever. So, well, not forever, but it's a Japanese company. It's carbon steel. The blades are quite unique. They are seriously sharp, hence the worry about safety. You can't sharpen these, but they are apparently they'll last 3 times longer than other blades, or so I've read anyway. But they're amazing. I'll talk about what happened on the end of mine in a minute. Now my brother, he's a tree surgeon, and well, he's actually a tree surgeon instructor and an assessor, and he goes and assesses people out in the field, working up in trees, etc. And he says that these are amazing. He has so this is a folding blade one. He's got a lot of fixed blades, so they don't fold at all, but they go into a sheath. But he says that these are probably the most dangerous thing out in the woods when he's assessing people, are these saws, because people don't know how to use them properly. They're running around with chainsaws, but these things are lethal, absolutely lethal. I can run my finger down that way, but there's no way in the world I'm running my finger back the other way, because I'll be bleeding. And I've cut myself many times with this, not while I'm cutting, but just letting it drop under gravity, and then it just knocks onto my leg, or it just catches my finger or something like that, and it draws blood real easy. So particularly if you're on your own, just be seriously careful with these, and treat them with all the respect they deserve. Anything else about them? The last thing to mention about them is that the blade is tapered, so if you look down, and you're not going to be able to, but if you look down this in this aspect, the bottom of the blade is thicker than the top of the blade, so as you're cutting, what you don't get is the top wedging into the wood. So because the bottom is thicker, it cuts the path, and you don't get the top of the blade catching or anything like that. So there we go, really strong blade. But what I would say is about the Gomboys is, because this is a pull blade, you pull it and then you push forwards with only a little bit of force, very, very gently going forward, with just drifting forward almost. However, when you first get it, that's a hard little trick to get into, and where you can go wrong is with this Gomboy. It came out and got almost to the end of the wood, and then I pushed forward again slightly at the wrong angle and snapped the nose off. And you will find there are lots of people online who show you their Gomboy, and the end is off. It always seems to be on the Gomboys, none of the others, but there you go. Right, so that is the Silky generally. What I'm going to do now is just go through the range quickly. Okay, the biggest saw in the range is, I think it's called the Katana. It's massive. The smallest one is 500 millimeters, and it goes up to 1,000 millimeters, so it's a meter long. I mean, the thing is massive. My brother's got one, but that fits what he does. There's no way in the world that I'm going wild camping with something like that. So the next real size down is the Big Boy. I love their naming. Now there are five different sorts of Big Boys. The first, and you can tell by the colour of the handle what they are. So if you see anyone with a red handle, they have got all the Big Boys are 360 millimeters long, so they're a set length blade, but the different colour handle relates to the size of the teeth. So a yellow handle means that it's got the large teeth, and large teeth will go through wet wood, soft wood, anything you want really that's out and about that you just want to rip, but they all rip things to pieces, but it could catch that bit more. So that's the red one, that's the large teeth, and I think it is 7 teeth. Yeah, it is 7 teeth per 30 millimeters. Some people say inches, 30 teeth per inch. Then the next one down is the black handle, and the black handle has 10 teeth per 30 millimeters. So good for some hardwood, and really that's the one that I would go for if I'm wild camping. I go for the large or the medium, and then you can get a blue handle, which my brother has got. He's got a blue handle one, and that is 13 teeth per 30 millimeters, and that really is for hardwood, and it's very good because it doesn't damage the tree, which is why my brother uses it. But when you take it out wild camping trying to get through a load of wood, it doesn't compare to this one. And this one is the curved version. So the other three have a straight blade. This one has a curved blade, and it's called the Gomboy 2000, and that's because of the radius of the curve here. And this has got 6.5 teeth per 30 millimeters, so it's a particularly nasty thing for ripping up into softwood and wet stuff. This is the biggest saw I would take out if I'm wild camping. I take this out if I'm going out winter camping, because I'm probably going to go for bigger logs, and then I can split them down, because if I split them down then I've got the dry wood on the inside and it'll burn that little bit easier if everything's wet. So that's what I tend to do, and therefore I go for the bigger saw. So yeah, this is what I take out in the winter. Right, so the next one, and I got this as a gift. This is, and what I'd say about Silky is that all their saws are built for people pruning trees and trimming trees and all that sort of stuff in gardens and, you know, out in parks and stuff like that. So people working on trees. They weren't built for survival and wild camping. However, they're such a good saw that that's what wild campers tend to go for. Laplanders, if you don't want to spend too much money but you still want a pretty reasonable saw, or they go for the Silkies. Now, so what Silky have done is create a range which is specifically for survival. I think it's some sort of nickel blade is the difference really. So here you go, this is a Big Boy, which is the Outlander, and you can see the handle is just a different color. It's not quite as grippy as the rubber. I don't know what sort of material this is. It's sort of a harder material, and the blade itself, you can see it's black, and it's some sort of nickel coating that goes on top of the blade, and the idea is to make it tougher. I think the blade is slightly wider as well. Temperature is really actually dropping now the sun has gone down. I think the blade is slightly wider. What I should say about the Outlander for the big boy is that it's 72 grams heavier, so it is a heavier piece of kit, and the price is a lot more. Yeah, if you're going to go for a big boy, you're probably looking in the region of 60 to 70 pounds, I think. I'll put the price up, but if you're going to go for the Outlander version, you're looking at £100. It is a crazy expensive bit of kit. We'll talk more when we get onto the Gomboy on about prices. Okay, the next one, and I'm going to get on because I want to get this fire going because the temperature is plummeting. The next one, size down, is the Gomboy. These all come as 10 teeth per 30 millimeters. Hence, they've got a black handle. They've all got a black handle, but they come in various sizes. So there's a 210, which this one is. There's a 240, a 270, and a 300. So same sort of blade, just a longer blade. In fact, what I should have mentioned about the Gomboy is that, so there's the normal Gomboy, there's the Gomboy Curve, which instead of 10 teeth is 8 teeth, so a little bit rougher wood, and then the Outback is effectively the Gomboy Curve rather than the straight that I've got there. Next one down is the Pocket Boy. Now I bought this for bike packing, and because of the size of the blade, I only really use it for cutting up small bits of wood that I'm going to use in a wood stove or something like that. You can cut bigger stuff, but there are two different sizes for this. There's the 130mm and the 170mm. This is just the 130, but like I say, I got it because I wanted something small and compact that I could just cut wood without having to snap it and make a noise. It's been great. I've used it quite a few times, not as much, anywhere near as much as the others. It's 10 teeth per 30mm, so it's no different than the Gomboy that I've got, just a little bit smaller and lighter. Yeah, really nice little addition. You can also get is it Outlander or is Outback? You can get the Outback version of these, but it's the 170 rather than the 130. But there we go. Okay, some other silkies that you can get, and I don't have any here. It's called the Super Excel 21, and it is very similar to the Gomboy, but rather than having this made of steel, it's made of aluminium. It weighs about 200 grams, so it's lighter than this. The lock I don't think is as good. I think the blade is very similar and pretty much the same, so it's almost exactly the same as this, but it is lighter, but it's just not as tough with the material, and the lock isn't quite as good, but the price is better. So a Gomboy you're probably going to pay, at the moment I think they're about 40 to 45 pounds, whereas the Super something 21 is 32 pounds, so you can get it a little bit cheaper. But while we're talking about prices, as a gauge, let's say this is 45 pounds, the one I've just mentioned, the Super Thingy 21, is 32 pounds for a lighter bit of kit, or you can spend more money and go for the Outlander, which is 65 pounds, or you can go right down to the other end, which is the Laplander, which is the Swedish company one that I mentioned earlier that I used to have. That is about 25 pounds. So you can see 25 pounds up to 65 pounds. Yeah, if you're just getting new into it, I would 100% go for the Laplander. Other sorts of saws that you can get. So here's an example. Agawa, I think they're called. Bora 21, Boral 21. I think they're Canadian. They're brilliant. But this really is overkill. This is for the winter. I mean, this is really tough, you know, in terms of what it will cut. But it's a fold-away saw. There you go. So there we go. So that comes out there, folds over, down it goes. Let's put that away, and there you go. Great for the winter. Great for canoeing or something like that, where you just got something that just folds all the way down, but it really can deal with big stuff. I've taken this out a few times in the winter, but it's just too aggressive and a little bit heavy, and I don't need to, and those are absolutely fine. So that's why I go for those anyway. Right, so there we go. So that's saws. I love my saws, as you can probably tell. I've had a few over the years. There are lots of great videos online. I think they're an essential part of wild camping. The big boy is at the top end, I would say, in terms of what you need. Winter, maybe, if you need to go for some bigger stuff that you're going to process down, so that you've got the dry wood in the middle. But I think something like the Gone Boy, 210 maybe, 240 I think is probably better, and 270 in that sort of region I think is just perfect for everything, certainly that you do in the UK if you're going to get a little fire. And the Pocket Boy if you're going to just do small amounts of stuff and you want something really lightweight. All great saws, but they're not the only saws. The Laplander is great if you're getting new into it and you don't want to spend too much money. Right, it's getting really cold, I need to get a fire going. Right, there we go, that was with a lighter. I'm not messing around, I'm actually getting quite cold at the moment. I just want to get this going. The wind is a bit of an issue, so I put a couple of little logs down in here to help protect just the base of the fire while the rest of it starts to catch. But it seems to be getting going. It might be a little bit tricky, but hopefully the wind will drop down later on this evening and I can get this roaring away quite nicely. I'm actually feeling cold and not 100%. I think sat there talking to the camera for so long has made me feel, temperatures dropped right down. As soon as that sun went down, the temperature plummeted. I'm not expecting anyone around here now, although the fire smoke is blowing out that way, which is towards the path, but that path hardly ever gets used. And there'll be a film tonight and I'll just chill in my hammock. I'm really looking forward to this. I love getting into that thing. I just wish I brought my war bonnet, because that is my luxury. I can't wait to the winter to get that thing out with the Wookiee under there. That's working quite nicely actually with the fire here. The wind's coming in from that side, and just a bit of a wall to help stop the wind getting into the base of the fire.
Guarantee you more people are going to be robbing banks to actually get their own cash out of the bank. I think we're going to see this a lot more as we go forward.
Another great night's sleep in this lush. This thing is built, if you want a hammock that's built for wind, this is it. I mean, the wind was really rocketing towards the end of the night, so it was at the start of the night, the first half, and this hammock was just rocking around. But no, doesn't make any difference to this thing. Now, on my last video, sleeping in the Hennessy hammock, where I hadn't put the underquilt on properly, I mean, that would have just been, I would have just been very cold. But this was just amazing. Oh look, all the poppers have come off. Yeah, I've noticed that the poppers struggle to stay on this cover. But yeah, really warm night. I mean, I woke up in the middle of the night and thought, am I in heaven? I mean, am I in my own bed? It was so nice. Yeah, absolutely great. Love this thing. But it definitely does pinch. It definitely does pinch. So if I'm lying on my bed at home, my shoulders are flat against, if I'm lying on my back, my shoulders are flat on the mattress. But in here, they are up a little bit. I can feel they are up a little bit. And the whole asymmetric thing, you can't get much asymmetric. You can get a flat lay. You can get a close to a flat lay, but it's not the war bonnet. It's not the space that you get in the war bonnet, or even the Hennessy. So it is a more of a cocoon sort of thing that you're in, but it's really good. But it's really warm. It's just, and I slept really well, so I've got no issues with sleeping in it. It's just, it definitely isn't the same size as those. It's definitely got some size issues going on here, but no problem. I love it. It's a great winter option if it's windy. I'm really keen to see what it's like up against the war bonnet, because I haven't slept in the war bonnet for many months. In fact, it was last winter when I slept in it. It's my winter hammock. I'm really looking forward to getting the two out and just comparing the war bonnet and this Superior Gear hammock. We shall see. We shall do that. Right then, I'm going to get up now.
So what I was talking about, until I realised the battery wasn't working, was the DD hammocks. I do have the normal 3x3, and this is but this one here, a 3x3 I'll keep in the car for a video I'll maybe do in a couple of weeks time. This is this super light though, which I use for wild camping. It stinks of smoke. I mean, it gets used. It used to get used a lot, but now if I take an 11-foot hammock, I've never used an 11-foot hammock with it, clearly, because it didn't fit. What I needed to do was to spin it round and have it diagonally in a diamond formation. But there's this little idea here. If you don't want to go and buy mesh, yeah, so it literally is just elastic with a fisherman's knot. Learn how to do that online. I just got five of them, and I'm actually quite glad I did it. It's probably lighter weight than the mesh, and it works. It holds it all together, and it's reasonably easy to manage. But yeah, there's a lot of sag. This look at this paracord. This was really taut when I put this up last night, and it's lost a lot of. That can't be right. It can't have stretched that much. That's ridiculous. Always give it a good rub down to make sure we don't have any visitors. There we go. One lesson I have learned is to, number one, don't use a white bag because that gives the things away, but I've still got the white bag, same white bag as before. Hopefully it's got a few holes appearing in it now, so I'll go to a green, more stealthy one soon. But yeah, always put your rubbish, particularly because of empty beer cans, what you think is empty, there's still always a little bit in. I always put it on the outside. I never put it in the pack. So I used to put it in the top of the pack, and then I remember getting back one morning, getting back home, taking everything out, and that beer had just soaked down into stuff, and it was a bloody nightmare. It stank. All looks good. Tree strap's gone. All right, let's go. So that's the firing range. A lot of the boards that say danger, etc., all fallen down there and back over there, but they should display the bylaws, which are the laws that refer to this firing range. And if you read the bylaws, and I've read the whole lot, I could be fined, I think it was £5. They could fine me £5. It's worth it. That's quite cheap. That's quite cheap for night camping. I think they were put there many years ago. This bag is so much lighter. What have I left behind? Oh, I've left my camera. I've left my other camera. I did that walk away shot and I've completely left my camera. I better go and get it. Anyway, see you next time. Cheers.